Okay, so today's agenda, we'll do welcome remarks, show you the department flyers. We're gonna go over the national celebration, overview the Hispanics in the US, celebration at San Jacinto College, panel discussion with the questions, and please, again, hold the questions until the end because the meeting is now being recorded. We're gonna do a little survey for the event at the end, and we're gonna be inviting you for our current events, okay? So yes, here it is. So today we're going to talk about the importance of the Hispanic Heritage Month celebrations. I'll be your moderator. My name is Yesenia Chavez, and I teach Spanish at Central Campus. I work at the Modern Language Department. We teach Spanish and French at this time. We also have a Hispanic Cultural Club. You are invited to join also. The meetings are every other Wednesday. If you're interested in joining, you can email me, okay? So what is the National Heritage Month? It is a national celebration. It celebrates the importance of the history of the Hispanics or Latinos in the country. It happens every September 15 through October the 15th. In this presentation, Hispanic or Latino are synonyms in today's presentation. A Hispanic or Latino person could be anybody who described themselves in the 2020 census as such, from Mexican, Mexican-American, Chicano, Puerto Rican, Cuban, or from any other Latin American country that may or may not speak Spanish. Those countries could be Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guinea Ecuatorial, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Puerto Rico, Spain, Uruguay, and Venezuela. So the celebrations in the United States began in 1968 in California, USA, by a congressman named George Brown. The proclamation was done in September 17, 1968 by President Lyndon Johnson. It only had a week originally. It coincides with the Independence Day of several Latin American countries, but not limited to Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Mexico. From Mexico, which celebrations for independence start today. Yes. So that's why we're doing this panel today, because today starts the celebrations for the Hispanic Heritage Month, as well as we start the celebration for the Mexican independence. Okay. On September 14, 1989, it was declared a 31-day celebration by President George H.W. Bush. Let's see if I can go to the next one. Overview of the Hispanics in the United States. More than 61 million people in the US are Hispanic or Latino, about 18% of the total population. 85% of the farming workforce is Hispanic or Latino in the United States. 59% of the people working in construction jobs is Hispanic or Latino. Number 4, 53% of the people working on food services are Latino. Hispanics or Latinos make up about also 18% of the total workforce in the United States. So now we're going to take a look at some statistics in higher education. About 52% of Hispanics or Latinos went to community college in 2018. 25% of Hispanics got an associate degree in 2020. About 27% of Latinas got a college degree, and about 21% of Latinos, Latino men got a college degree. However, about 22% of students or Hispanics still had outstanding loans in 2016. So now we're going to go and talk a little bit about the celebrations at San Jacinto College. So in the fall 2018, the Hispanic Heritage Month Committee was created, although many other celebrations happened before the creation of the committee. About 26 faculty members have made this committee possible. They have served as members, advisors, chairs, etc. The events in the fall 2021 event included 11. Some of those events were hybrid, in Zoom, in person, or in social media. About 850 persons participated last year and rated our events as excellent or great. Today, we thank all the committee members who made all this possible, we got some of those here present. We got Christina, Nicole, Luis, and I think Daniel is somebody here. We are also expecting Dina Castillo to come and speak for us. Hopefully she gets to make it. Thank you, everybody. Here are my little references for that. And today we're going to be listening and hearing from volunteer members of the Hispanic Heritage Month Committee. We got Nicole Brown, we got Luis Reyes, Dina Castillo, and Cristina Cárdenas, okay? So we're going to start with the questions about for our panelists, okay? We're going to start. So panelists, welcome. Thank you so much for coming today and joining us. We're going to do about 6 questions in total, and then depending on time, we can do more, okay? Can you start, anybody would like to start? Can you start by telling us a short introduction about yourself with your name, department, and hobby? For example, my name is Yesenia Chavez. I'll work with the Modern Language Department. I love listening to music, okay? So who would like to start? And I guess I can stop sharing this.
I don't mind going first.
Okay.
Bienvenidos. Buenos dias. I'm Cristina Cárdenas. I teach speech full-time at the South Campus, and I'm also teaching speech classes at the early college for San Jacinto, and then of course with South Houston Early College at the high school there. You asked what one of our favorite things to do is. I love baking, and especially now, I'm just thinking of all the different things that we can bake to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. I think that would be kind of cool to do one day. So thank you.
Thank you, Cristina. Who would like to go next?
I guess I can go next. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Luis Reyes. People call me also Lou, family, friends, what have you. So either way is fine. I teach U.S. history and Texas history at San Jacinto Central Campus. I've been doing that for, I guess, almost 10 years now, 6 years part-time, about 4 years full-time. One of the things, well, I like to do a lot of different things, but lately I've been trying to read a lot more. That's one of the things that I've been trying to do the last several years, and things that I want to read. Right now, it's a little difficult because I am working on my doctorate degree. So it's a little harder to read things that I'm more interested in, and I have to study and whatnot. So hobbies are not necessarily something I have a lot of time for, unfortunately, but I do try to make time for it because it's important. So that's a little about me. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. Who would like to go next?
I'll go next.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nicole Brown. I'm one of the reference librarians at the Central Library. And my 2 main hobbies are, of course, the librarian cliche. I read a lot. And I also sew as kind of my other main hobby.
Thank you. So Daniel, since I see you are here, would you like to be part of our panelist members today and share something?
Did you ask me?
Yes.
I do. So I'm
Great, thank you.
Danielle Bible. I teach history here at Central Campus. I don't consider myself Hispanic, but I consider myself somebody who's always seeing the world and experienced the world through a Hispanic lens. My kids are Hispanic. My husband is Hispanic. When I encounter information, I'm always kind of thinking about how they're impacted by that information. So yes. And I spend my time working and parenting. That's pretty much all I can do.
Let me just double check to make sure that Dina is not somewhere in the area and I cannot see her. Dina, are you here somewhere? Okay, I guess she's not. So I guess we can go to the next question. It says, do you consider yourself to be Hispanic or Latino? I know some of you already answered the question, but I guess I can ask that one. Thank you.
So I consider myself Mexican American. It's a combo. I'm originally from Laredo, Texas, and it's on the border. So that's how I was raised, to say that I'm Mexican American. I am an American citizen, but my heritage is from Mexico. And today is our Independence Day, so I'm like, Viva Mexico!
Thank you, Cristina. Who would like to go next?
I'll go. Yes, I consider myself both Hispanic and Latina. I am from Venezuela. I was born in Venezuela, and then we moved to this country when I was 8. It's getting to the point now where I have to do math. I But yeah, Spanish is my first language. I, grew up a significant part of my childhood in Venezuela. And yeah, I guess I consider myself to be Venezuelan American. My dad is from here, so I was lucky enough to have dual citizenship. I didn't have to go through the citizenship process, which is really nice for me.
Thank you, Nicole. Who would like to go next?
I guess I can go. Do I consider myself Latino or Hispanic? I guess the short answer is yes. I grew up in a Mexican American household. Both of my parents come from Monterrey, Mexico, which they grew up pretty much there in their childhood. They came here in their late teens and they got married and had a family, myself and my two siblings. So we grew up in a household where we were familiar with at least some of the culture, the cuisine, some of the history, the language, what have you. I guess the one thing I would say though is when I was growing up is we didn't really have that large family that also lived here. Most of my family did live in Mexico, so I didn't have my cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents. So that's one thing that I think I really missed out on growing up, is having that family connection that a lot of other people that I've spoken to have had whenever they're growing up here in the US, that yes, they're not living in the country of their parents, or maybe they came from another country, but I didn't have that connection that I think that I'm still trying to look for. I think that's a gap, that's a void that I have, is I want to learn more about it and I want to get more connected to it.
Thank you, Luis. Daniel or Dina, who would like to go next? We're asking the question, do you consider yourself to be Hispanic or Latino?
I'll comment real quick. I feel like I already answered that question, but Lou, I absolutely relate. My husband was adopted and it took a little while for us to find his biological family, and reconnecting my kids to their cousins and really feeling immersed in the culture. It's huge. It's a big difference. You feel isolated when you don't have all of those connections. So it's been really rewarding. Everybody in my family tries to teach me how to make rice properly, and I never seem to get it right, but yeah.
You just need a rice cooker and you put some cubitos in there and like you're fine. It's
Yes, thank you. Dina, would you like to go next? And welcome.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm having some computer major function issues here. As for me, I think that I consider myself Hispanic, but it's to the point to where I believe that our ancestors came over here, or were here actually, and then they had to assimilate into becoming US citizens and becoming American and everything else. And we have generations now coming again and are having to assimilate. And for me, this time of the year, Hispanic Heritage Month, is important because yes, we've assimilated, but we need not to forget where we come from. Because once we do that, we've lost every single bit of our humanity as a culture. And that's something that we cannot lose. We have to make sure that our traditions, our familias, they stay close together and tight knit like always. I know that during the time frame that COVID, I missed being around my family. I miss going out of town to be able to go see my little cousins and all that. I missed it. I missed being able to see my grandmother. And she's the only grandparent I have left, and I really couldn't see her because she has the old school flip phone, doesn't know how to, she barely knows how to work it. So, can't use, the phone to, do a video chat, doesn't have computer, doesn't have internet. So I would just have to talk to her, and on the phone, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. And, and a lot of my aunts and uncles, they're older, same thing. They just didn't know how to use the phones, and it's just like, okay, never mind, I'll just talk to you on the phone. It's simpler and quicker. But it's not the same. It's not the same as just being able to see them and touch them. And during Hispanic Heritage Month, it's important for us to get back to our roots, as I guess you could say, and learn about ourselves again, because for the generations that have been here and been assimilated for so long, a lot of us don't know what it is. And that's sad. I personally, I can muddle through a Spanish conversation, but I really cannot speak it fluently. I've taken the classes and all that. It's just, I can read it and write it better than I can speak it. And the reason being, and I guess it's a deal with me, I do not like the way I sound when I speak it. So I'd rather not if I don't have to. And that's one thing that a lot of my family members get a kick out of, because they'll be standing there talking to me in Spanish and they're like, she doesn't know what we're saying. And I'm like, and they're saying something. I'm like, but that's not right. That's not how the way the story went. And they just like look at me like, oh my God, you do know what we're saying. And they just totally freak out. And I'm like, I understand you. I just choose not to speak it because I don't like the way I sound. And that's a hang up on my part. But I have little cousins who actually do not believe that they're Hispanic, but yet they're Hispanic. And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, that's you. That's what that is. They have no idea of their traditions or their values that our culture brings. They have no idea of what it is. And it's a shame, but it is what it is. And that's something that this time of the month gives us the opportunity to give back to our community, to our students, that it is important for them to learn this and be realistic with it. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Dina. So the next question is, why do you consider it's important to celebrate the Hispanic community in our college or community or city or state or nation? I know some of you already touched on this, but I would like to see if anybody else has any comments on this one. Thank you. Who would like to start?
I'll go ahead and go. Dina, what a beautiful segue. I completely agree with everything that you say. If we don't commemorate this, if we don't talk about it, we don't live it, it goes away. And so we need to make sure to tell our family story, our story, and with pride. I think con orgullo, because it is who we are. And we bring something to America that is unique. It is who we are. Our love of family, our love for the other can show through not just with the language of Spanish, but the way that we live our life. And we've mentioned family in so many ways. It's a very rich history. I come from a place where it was always Mexico, and then it became the United States. So we always say we didn't cross the border changed, okay? Like it crossed us, it's a different idea. And I know that I have the heritage of people coming before Texas was even founded. Not everybody has that experience, but I do. And we can go through the lineage of where our family came from and from Spain and all of that interesting stuff. But I think about how much you shared with missing home during COVID and how it impacted. I had my mother pass away and I wasn't there physically, but at the moment of her death, because of WhatsApp, I was able to connect, and because my sister was a nurse, she died in the hospital. She wasn't alone, but this feeling of being alone. And I think the Latino cultures and the heritage makes you feel a part of something. And so I always say, like with my friends, like they're like, Christina, when you start talking Spanish to us, I know that I belong. And I'm like, yeah, I forget sometimes that you don't understand or you don't speak it, but it just means that you're one of us. Like, come and enjoy. And so I think that's another important piece of having the activities on our campus, in our home, that we participate, so that we can show that we are inclusive. We're not exclusive. And that's something that's really important. I think of not just the clothing that we wear, but there's meaning behind it. There's a whole history and lineage with clothing. You know, you look at the materials. I think of the contributions that Latinos have made to the United States. And one of them is our alcohol contribution. Okay, I know that we can stereotype and all, but it is a business, it is an industry, and there is a rich heritage that comes from the Azteca community, right? Like, and it's like it's there. There's a ritual behind things, and there's a lot of love and time, because you need to understand agave, like it takes forever to grow, and you have to take care of that, and there's a whole history behind it. And I think part of our role as educators is to share, to educate, to inform of what is the actual reality, right, that comes with it. Because a lot of people may want to say they know, and then we have to educate or reinform because they may have the wrong idea. And that's kind of the fun part, because that's what we're here for. So it's important.
Thank you, Christina. Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Thank you.
I think that everyone else has made really great points. And so I feel like, to be super honest, my whole deal with Hispanic Heritage Month is very selfish. And it's really just that I am Venezuelan. So I'm part of a diasporic community, people that left their country not entirely of their own free will. And so for me, Hispanic heritage is very much about, when you're part of a community like that, you have to go out of your way to connect with your culture. It's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, I grew up in my culture. I grew up in Venezuela, so I have that very direct connection, but then it becomes severed. And to connect with it again, is something that you have to do very intentionally. It takes work. So that's why I care. That's why I'm involved in Hispanic Heritage Month, because I don't want to lose that, what is such an important part of who I am. And then also, I don't want people to forget that about me. I don't want people being a non-Mexican person in Texas, especially with, I'll be really honest, interacting with white people. They tend to kind of just assume that everyone who is Hispanic or Latino is Mexican, and that's not true. And it's not a bad thing. I don't get angry when people assume I'm Mexican. There's nothing wrong with being Mexican, but I am Venezuelan, and that specific culture, that specific heritage, that specific history is what is so important to me. And also, to be super honest, I don't know very much about Mexico either. So I feel like, well, I can't represent Mexican people. I'm not. So Hispanic Heritage Month for me is very much about making people aware of Latinos and Hispanics, like in the fullness of our complexity. Because there's a lot there. And so much these days you see coming out are just kind of these often very negative stereotypes. And so it's so important to kind of be there and say, like, No, we are multitudes. We are complex. I will stand here on this soapbox and talk to you for 30 minutes about this issue because you have the wrong idea here, dude. And I am, fortunately or unfortunately, always the person that has the soapbox right there.
Thank you, Nicole. Who would like to go next?
I'll speak for a minute. So
Thank you.
I mentioned that my husband was adopted. He did not get to grow up in his culture. He didn't get to grow up in a family that appreciated his identity. And I can see how that affects people. You know, so for me, Hispanic Heritage Month is really about celebrating identity, celebrating an opportunity to be oneself and to connect with the culture and to connect with the history and to be really proud of that and to be familiar with what that history looks like. So it's really about being okay in one's skin, being okay in one's history.
Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I guess I can briefly go next. I
you.
mean, wow. I mean, how do I follow all that up? I mean, thank you again for sharing y'all experiences and perspectives. And I think I'll just try to connect it all together because what I think I'm going to have to say or my experience is very similar to what everybody else has already said to some degree. And I guess to going off what Nicole and Danielle were saying about the diversity and losing the connection that you may have with your roots and whatnot. I think that's part of the reason I became into history, because when it came to knowing my own history, I really didn't know very much. My parents, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or that it was painful to talk about their family, but they really didn't open up to me about great grandparents or our origins or anything like that. So I don't blame them or not mad at them or anything about that, but it was just something that was, again, kind of that void or hole that I have that I was mentioning earlier. So I think this month is a good way to, again, try to learn more about who we are and our roots and our origins, and not just us, but also to acknowledge there's a lot more, there's a diversity there. There's a lot of different kinds of people. We're not a monolith per se or anything like that. And the better we get at that, I think we can understand not just quote unquote Hispanic, Latino, Latina, Latinx peoples, but everybody. I think we should just maintain that open mindset and be more inclusive and more willing to learn from everybody. And I think that can make us a better people in general.
Great. Thank you, Luis. Who would like to go next?
Yeah, I agree with you, Liz. When it comes to knowing about your grandparents or your great grandparents, it's kind of hard because that's the same way in my family. I didn't get to meet my grandfather on my father's side or my mother's side, and they had both passed away before I was born. And trying to ask questions about them, it's like, well, I really don't know. Well, I don't remember. And to ask about their parents, it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know. It's just like nobody knows. Or if they do know, they just don't really want to talk about it for some reason or other. And like with my mom side of the family, I did meet my grandmother. And I saw her for a little bit. And my dad's mom, she's still alive to this day. And now I'm trying to get as much information from her as I humanly possibly can. And now that she's getting older, she's realizing, yeah, they need to know this information. And it's me picking at her constantly and asking, hey, what about grandpa? Where did he come from? Where was he born? You know, and she's realizing, yeah, you guys do need to know this because she has a generation of great grandchildren that have no idea who this man is, except in a picture. And they don't know anything about him or anything like that. I just recently found out last summer that my grandfather, my dad's dad, was a sheriff at one time in one of the Texas little towns here in Texas. I had no clue he was that he did that. You know, I did know that he was a divorcee, But I also didn't know that during that divorce time and the time before my grandmother, he had some other kids. Did not know that either. So it's like my family got a little bit bigger. And it's just like, okay, so yeah, those people who are contacting me at ancestry.com could actually be related now. Did not know. So I have to dig into that. And it's a situation that, you know, they want to tell you stuff, but it's like they're going to tell you on their time, when they want it, when they feel that's a necessity. And I guess because my grandmother is, I think, 93 right now, she is getting to that point where somebody in our family needs to know my grandfather's side of the story. We know her side of the family because there's a family tree done for her side, but there is not a family tree done for my grandfather's side. So she's starting to loosen up and let things come out and stuff like that, which it is important, but yet we're still missing pieces that we're going to have to piece together somehow, some way. And I guess because, for one, I am one and the first one to have a college education in my dad's side of the family. Myself and my two cousins who are younger than me, who now have degrees, I'm gonna instill on them that the three of us work on the family tree for my dad's side of the family, for my grandfather, because we need to know this information. And it's imperative because there again, it lies where we come from, who we are, what our connection is. Like on my mom's side, I do have Spanish blood in me. And on my dad's side, I have Native American, Spanish, and somehow Irish. I don't know where that came in. Yeah, I have no idea to this day where the Irish comes in, and Italian. So figure that one out. I'm trying to figure that one out myself, but it's there. So I got to find out how. And it's important that we do that. And it's also important that we celebrate other Hispanic cultures, not just people from Mexico. There are others. And we need to start doing that. And it's this time frame that our community and our student population can learn. We're not experts, but we'll get you as much information as you humanly possibly can to brighten your horizon and learn about these cultures and embrace them for the people that they are, the culture that they are, and learn from them. We also bring a lot of music, and it's lovely music. On my mom's side of the family, they're musicians. And when you listen to it, it is beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. And that in itself incorporates a lot of our culture. Music, food, that's what it is. That's what it's all about. And we need to embrace it, because if not us, who? If not now, when? It's something that needs to be celebrated. Yeah.
Thank you, Dina. Is that everybody answered this question? I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. So let's go to the next question. If you celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, how do you celebrate it? In your classroom, in your office, in your family? Who would like to start? Cristina.
Go ahead and start. So I do different types of things. This year I'm excited because my godchild, my brother's son, is going into preschool, and they are going to celebrate by coming in with their custom dress. And so I'm going to later on drop off the guayabera that I have for him so that he can wear it and talk about that history. So that's a new addition that I just am so excited about this year, because then I'll take a picture and I'll be like, "Ay, sí, mijo, claro que sí." And that's exciting because it's going to the next generation. And that's something that's very important. So for the students that are here right now and those that will be listening through the recording, I invite you to participate in the various activities that we have at the school, but also to go back home and start asking questions. And one of my favorite things to do is to play loteria with the family. Now they have an actual COVID loteria from San Antonio that came, and I bought it, and it's hilarious because the cards are all about COVID. And my favorite one is El Fauci. And so I just think it's hilarious to see that. I'll put a link in the chat to show you where, not that I'm promoting like buying stuff, but just so you can see that it's a thing. Okay. So I just love that it was playing on the traditional thing. And I know we have a contest, don't we? Where they can draw a card for loteria. So that's
Yes,
a
we do.
fun
We're going
way.
to talk about later at the end. Thank you.
Yes, so that's one of them. And I would also encourage the students to ask their family members what they love, whether it's a taco or fideo or pollo con arroz or pupusas, if you're from different countries, to ask like, how do you make it? To try and learn, or at least get the recipe. And if you haven't tried it before, please try it. This is the time to explore and learn about famous Latinos. And I'm going to put 2 links. I'm so excited. Look, I'm Laredo proud. I know I'm also Houston proud, but I'm so excited this year because, well, one is Jovita Hidar, and I think she's from Laredo, and she's an amazing journalist and does lots of things. I'll make sure to put the link, and so you can learn about her. But then the other one that I'm really excited about is Arturo Campos. May he rest in peace. He was an electrical engineer from Laredo, but he worked at NASA. And if you know anything about NASA, I'm all about it because my husband also is a contractor and he works for NASA and stuff like that. But his name is going to be on the Moonican that's being launched for Artemis. Hopefully, we're crossing our fingers at the end of September, because I know the first launch date didn't go, but that's okay. NASA wants to make sure that everything goes well. So I will put a link in there, and it's so exciting to see how he helped with the Apollo missions. So again, learning about people that maybe you didn't know about before, that's another way that you can celebrate. So those are the ways that I celebrate. And I'll put those links in just a minute.
Thank you, Christina. Who would like to go next? And we're answering the question. If you celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, how do you celebrate it?
I will.
Thank you.
I usually have my students do a little index card about famous Hispanic people, from Selena to Pitbull to everybody that's famous, even the Houston Astros, baseball players, all that. And they do a brief bio, put a picture. And lately I've been doing that digitally, and I just told them about it. One of my classes, I told them about it last night, that I was going to embed the PowerPoint for them to put, and the list with the names for them to choose from, and to pick their favorite person, and then do it on that, and each one do a person, and just give them enough people for that class. So that way they can start the digital board. And once they're done, then I'll have my other class pick up, and then so forth and so forth and so forth. And that's one way I do it. And then like with family and friends, I do play loteria and everything, but I also like seeing the concerts that they have. I also like seeing those, and I'll look for them, because you know, when somebody's there, they're filming it with their camera, and they're posting it right away on the YouTube and stuff like that. So I just check it on there and get that. And that's the way I celebrate. I like it.
Thank you. Who would like to go next?
So,
Okay. Thank you, Nicole.
so definitely, I mean, the biggest way in that it takes up the most of my time that I celebrate is helping to organize all of these events. Doing Hispanic Heritage Month for the college is kind of my big thing. But other than that, this time period really kind of like kicks off my most Hispanic period of the year, because the holidays that come after this are so big in Venezuela. Like, this is the time when I come the most like obnoxiously Venezuelan, and everyone around me knows what's up. I'm gonna start playing like traditional music. I'm gonna start bothering people about stuff like that. I'm gonna start, my brother and I have started cooking a lot together, a lot of like our traditional foods, because one of the great ironies of getting older is that all of a sudden your brother becomes one of your best friends, and it's like, could not have told me that when I was a kid. But we're gonna cook a lot together, and that's just I really like where Hispanic Heritage Month is situated in the year, because for me it goes really well into the rest of the year.
Thank you, Nicole. Luis, I know you wanted to go next. Is that right? Okay, thank you.
Sure, why not? So I guess I'll kind of segue with a few of the other thoughts that some of the other panelists have mentioned. When it comes to celebrating it, yes, what we're doing right now is a big part of it. I think I honestly didn't know very much about Hispanic Heritage Month until I started becoming a full-time employee here. I think I've heard of it maybe in grade school, but we didn't really do a whole lot as far as celebrations is concerned. It wasn't until I got here full time that I got more enmeshed in it, because it was very much something that I really enjoy doing in the first place, is learning more about the culture, and again, knowing more about this identity that I feel that it's kind of lacking. I know a bit about it. Again, we were grown up in a Mexican American household, and it's not like my parents denied us any of the traditions and that sort of thing, but it is something that I feel like I continue to learn more about every year, because of the things that we do here on the college. In my classes, I'll have my students do activities, haikus. They write something related to a person, a place, or an event that is related to Mexican American history, or whatever they decide. Anyway, I've done the posters before. Professor Nelson has done them just about every year, but I've done them one time with him. Had some poster boards, and just a lot of other activities helping to organize Hispanic Heritage Month. But also saying what Nicole mentioned earlier about cooking and embracing some of that personal heritage and whatnot, I found myself doing that a lot more the past couple years. My parents are getting older, and as well as my only aunt that used to live here, she unfortunately passed away during COVID. So that was really hard for us. And one of my fondest memories is we would make tamales around this time of year, or closer to Christmas and whatnot, or empanadas and other things like that. So we were about to start recording these like recipes, and that way we have them. And unfortunately, with my aunt passing away, we're just trying to do this with my mom, so that way we can again pass down this legacy, if you will. And one thing that I also do is my sister's son, he's my nephew, he's about 10 years old or so. He has that inquisitive mind. He's always asking questions about, what's this, what's that? And I try to tell him about, the culture that we come from every now and then. So we do little things around the holidays. The Dia de los Reyes Magos will have the rosca, and I'll tell them a little bit about that history and that sort of thing. So it's a little bit about, again, doing things here, yes, doing things at home, and just passing it on to future generations. I think that's what all of us have pretty much said. And I think it's great listening to how everybody does it, more or less the same or a little differently. So thank you for sharing again, everybody. This has been really nice to listen to everybody.
Yes, thank you. Daniel, did you already? Okay, you're next.
If I
Thank
could
you.
real quick, so we are big into history. I force my kids to pay attention to history, even though they don't want to. We will make our way down to Herman Park. If you haven't been out there lately, they've renovated the park. There is a whole avenue of Latin American liberator busts. So you can go through and you can kind of study people who have contributed to the development of Latin America. We'll go out to Miller Hill and we'll listen to various Latino artists. We go to Casa Ramirez, where we participate in folk art. So there are lots of really great things to do all around our area. Last weekend, we took our kids out to the monument. And for me, we're not done until we go out to De Zavala Cemetery, right? That there are just things that you just have to include. And we will sort of take in all of those festivities all over Houston. Yeah, that's what we do.
Thank you. Everybody answered that question, right? Okay, great. Thank you. So because of time, I'm going to go to question number 6. It says, do you have any words of wisdom for our students at San Jacinto College Central? Okay, so can please.
Yes,
Mhm.
I do. So what I want everyone to know that is here and in the future recording is that you belong. You belong here. You have a place. You have a seat at the table. And what you need to do is to make the most out of that opportunity that you have. Don't ever let anyone make you feel lesser than, or that you don't belong, or that you don't have a seat. You have a seat, and it's up to you what you're going to do with it. And reach out and grow as an individual. Learn about your heritage, good, bad, painful, happy. It's all there. And that is who you are. And as you grow, because each of us grows in different stages, you will be able to share, because all of us have talents, and we are here to make this world a better place with those talents. And our experiences will help another. So I always think of, dale la mano, ayúdale, help the other up. Okay, don't keep people down, help them up. And that's what I have learned. And I want you to know you have a place and you belong.
Thank you, Christina. Who would like to go next on words of wisdom for our students? Thank you.
I guess I can go.
Thank you, Luis.
I guess the short version, just a phrase, just be brave. Be brave. Don't be scared to ask questions. Look into whatever you're curious about. A little bit what Christina was saying, learn your history, learn your culture, that you do belong, and just have that presence, be in that moment, be brave, and also, I guess, be kind to one another. There's a lot of, again, things that are going on in our world today, and I think it's better to try to come to an understanding, try to learn from each other, and try to work together as opposed to clashing. There's enough of that already. So be in the moment, be brave, be that person that you know you can be, and also try to learn from each other, learn from each other's perspectives. That's really what HHM is all about, I think, as well as all the other heritage months, history months, that we just embrace it all. We try to learn from each other. And it's then, I think I made this point already, I think we can be a better society, better people by doing that.
Thank you, Luis. Sorry, who would like to go next on the words of wisdom?
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
just to build on what Luis was saying is really just like, it is all about collective action and mutual aid. Like, you are the most important person in your life in terms of what you can do for yourself and for others, because you're the only person that you have any kind of control over, right? So you need to positively channel that power that you have to be able to extend it to other people. And that's the only way that anything ever gets done, is if we work together and if we are honest and listen to each other and listen to what everyone else needs and how you can help with that.
Thank you, Nicole. Who would like to go next, Dina or Daniel?
The one thing I can say to our San Jacinto student population is that here at San Jacinto, we are familia. No matter race, creed, or anything, we are familia. And that is what Hispanic heritage culture essentially is about. Familia. And you are part of us. You are here. We're here for you. And we're a family. As simple as that.
Thank you, Dina. Daniel, would you like to go next?
Sure. I will say two things. Growing up, my husband often sat in the back of the classroom very quietly. And I know that a lot of our students sit there very quietly, confused sometimes, worried, frightened to ask for the, for the instructor to slow down or to clarify something. Please use your voice. Okay, you matter. We care about you. Speak up.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, actually, for sharing. So as a way of closing, before we go and share the survey for questions and a survey for, feedback, yes. So thank you, all the panelists. So in a summary, I guess we shared today the importance of the Hispanic Heritage Month. This is a way to reconnect and revitalize the Hispanic history. Do not let it go. Don't forget about it. Vitalize Hispanic Heritage Month, Hispanic roots. Eliminate probably some stereotypes, like all Latinos are probably Mexicans, and we're not. We are also from other Latin American countries. We need to be proud of our Hispanic or Latino roots. Yes, so I guess that's a little summary that I can share. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing and coming today. At this time, I'm going to stop the recording. That way we can go over the questions and comments and share the survey. Hopefully I can get it right. Stop recording now.